Alright guys, quick little tutorial here on the Momentary switch. This little guy right here. This is the type of switch that needs to be held down to be activated. So we'll start off by saying all the kind of cool things it can do. So the Momentary switch can spawn and despawn and all that cool jazz. So this switch right here is set up to spawn the key, and you have to stay on it for it to stay here. It's the same thing with this one right here. This one's on a despawner, so you have to stay on the switch. This switch is a up unless it's closed, or sorry, off unless it's stood on. So you can do things like drag a statue over to the switch to hold it down. This switch right here is set to despawn and spawn, so buttons can spawn, or whatever you want to call them, switches can spawn each other. So there's despawn and then there's spawn. If you want to hold them down, you're going to use things like statue. Then the statue holds that button down, and that way you can hit this other one, or use another statue on this switch, and then boom, you finish that puzzle. You can also use push blocks to hold the switches down. So you push block over and then statue to complete the circuit. So if you didn't notice, I pushed the block over and put the statue and then opened the door. Just like that. So something to note about these Momentary switches as well is these push blocks reset when you switch floors. So currently the connection is sealed and the door is open, but if I use the stairs and leave the room and come back in, you'll notice that the door is closed and the button is open and the push block is back here. So something to keep in mind when you're building with push blocks is that they always reset, but the statues will stay in the same spot they always are in. You can use the switches to spawn things like the golden egg, for example. Keys, anything, basically anything in the game. You can even use them to spawn torches, I believe, in doorways, but I haven't really messed around with that. You can also use them to spawn tools or items that Fink could use. The thing is, they have to be right up close in order for Fink to grab them. So if I spawn here, I can't grab this unless I have maybe a dash or whatever it is. This one I wanted to highlight that the traps can go over top of the buttons as well, or switches, whatever you want to call them. The switches can also be used as one-way doors. So if you put the switch right here, lines up with this door right here. So when I step on it, I can go through, but once I'm through, I can't go back because that's how the door works. So quick talk about linking switches. Switches work in a channel, so 6 and 6 is going to work together. So this switch right here that is set to 6, when I press 6, it'll spawn 6. Reversely, if I step on this button that's 2, it will despawn this lantern because it's on the same channel. This one right here is a sequence of switches. So this monster door or stone door, whatever you want to call it, only opens when all of the 8 switches have been filled. So if you look up here, before I had to pull the statue over and then push the block up. So the door opens, right, but it'll close as soon as you step off of it. So once you finish the circuit of all the buttons or switches, then the sequence is complete and filled out. So just to show you quickly, place your switch down and you click on it to switch the channels. I don't think I've used 5, so I'll use 5. So switch number 5, and then I will use it to spawn a blue pillar, I guess, for example, or I'll use it to spawn a monster. So I'll put a spider in there. So now this... Oh, what? Oh, I used the wrong one. Sorry. 5. I gotta put this... You gotta match the channels up. That's the point of the tutorial. There you go. Put the little spider on there. And now when a player switches this switch, spider spawns. Alright, that's pretty much it about the momentary switches. There's probably some more advanced things that you can do, but I wanted to show you guys most of the basics. Spawning golden eggs, one-way doors, sequence of switches to open doors, sequence of switches to spawn things, spawners, despawners, and that's pretty much it for the momentary switch. I'll see you guys later. Have fun.